Hello, this is Keith Surtees. Following on from my first seven talks and really slightly recapping on some of them because it's very important that we understand how these different concepts I've given so far can fit together into a pattern of learning. Okay, and just to recap, firstly, we started talking very much about the yin and yang, the spiritual laws. We covered things like oneness, polarity, um, creation through polarity, the 1,001 different things, as the Taoists or Taoists call it, um, and basically the structures of our own development. And what really hit me last night when I was meditating on these talks so far was the necessity for us to relate everything back to life. And when I look at my own spiritual journey and the people I've met who truly inspired me, um, some of the most deeply spiritual people I've met really didn't consider themselves as spiritual, i.e., they didn't have a personality or ego image of themselves being spiritual. They were just too busy living life and being kind and compassionate and excited about life. So I want to tie everything up that we've done so far related to spiritual philosophy to a very down to earth thing, which is most important, and it's extremely important because it is so easy to get lost into a system of thought. I've been there myself, and other people have. You get lost in a system of thought, you begin to um, forget that life is the teacher and that life is the great experience, the great journey, and the living of life, the sorting out of what we can call the problems of life, the digging deep when we have some type of situation in life which is not so comfortable, when life, the external life changes so quickly, when people do things we don't expect, when people we think like us don't like us, when the work we've been working in for 5 years that we think we're going to work in for the rest of our life suddenly disappears, then we're thrown back onto the question, what is life, and how do I respond to this? So in talk 1, 2, and 3, I very much talked about the experience of oneness within us, and how everything uh, can be worked out in the inner world. And later in the talks, number 6 in particular, I talked about the experience of an integral or integrated spiritual development. And it's quite technical, but it's quite simple too. Basically, you have the body, mind, and spirit. And the body and mind, alongside emotions, creates what we can call a personality. And the spirit is the spirit and soul, which is seen as the life force which um, descends through the head into the body and through the chakra system. And you can study the chakra system and many good books on that. I'm not going to go too esoteric about the chakra system. I do so on my courses, but for these talks, I want to keep it more simple. So the pathway of spiritual development, one can say, is a reflection of the very processes of life itself. Life is the teacher, and this I think I first mentioned in talk 1 or 2, that life is the superb and best teacher. Everything in life, and this is a realization that I made, everything in life that I see, feel, and connect with is subject to my own inner processes. Now think about this. The way you see life, the way you relate to your spiritual development, the way you relate to moving forward, finding your spiritual pathway. We've talked much in 5 and 6, uh, talks 5 and 6, about the spiritual pathway. Finding that spiritual pathway is about listening to the deepest levels of one's own inner voice or inner wisdom. And that inner wisdom at the highest level is pure intuition. And sometimes it takes you in places that the mind, and don't forget the mind, we've talked about this, the mind is a construct. It's constructed of all the ideas that you've accepted, and many ideas that you've accepted unconsciously without even realizing that you've accepted those ideas. So the mind takes you in one direction. When you understand this, the personality in the mind, and you begin to understand true intuition, which is the work of the spirit, then you have working in your life, in your day-to-day life, and life being the teacher, you and life become very comfortable with each other. You understand that every challenge is part of a constructed reality that you have accepted, a contract that you've made with yourself to be here in this physical world. And I would suggest if you've decided to be on this earth at this time, you've also decided to accept everything that's happening now in this world. So life is the teacher. Everything you want to know is within. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't have any contact with the outside world. Of course it does. What it actually means is the outside and the inside world become one thing. You begin to realize that by being born and growing up and forming the relationships and connections that you've made in life, that you're actually fulfilling some kind of deep level contract with yourself. As you go deeper into this contract, you begin to realize that life is a most wonderful and precious thing. The Dalai Lama says, this precious human birth. And this is a wonderful thing that he says, because it reminds us that each time you're in a physical body, you should cherish that physical body, you should cherish your life, and you should love your life, because if you truly can find that love for your life force, your inner self, then every level of you receives love. And love, as we know, as we've talked about, is one of the great spiritual laws. The law of love and the law of love wisdom and the law of compassion, all being different ways of talking about the same spiritual energy. So we need to understand how to live, how to get that tremendous excitement of life. And the great teachers have often talk about something which is extremely important, and that is gratitude. Gratitude is not necessarily classified as a spiritual law, but every great human being, and I use that word great human being as opposed to spiritual teachers, because even the word spiritual has a dualistic connotation to it, doesn't it? If I say this is a spiritual teacher, then it kind of says some people are spiritual and some are not. And you see, this is not necessarily what I mean by the words, but this is the way this unconscious mind can process this. And you get this in a lot of beginners on the pathway. They say, this person is spiritual because they're doing their yoga, they're doing this, etc. And this person is not because they aren't doing the spiritual things I'm doing. Of course, this is another trap. We don't need to make those judgments. We don't know the depth of another person, really. We don't know what journey they've been through. We don't know what learning experiences they've had. And we don't really know where they're going. So we've got to be careful of this, separating things by words. Life, the whole of life, is a spiritual process. And this is why I keep going back to this thing of oneness inside you first, this talk of oneness. And I want to show how dangerous things, pop psychology and pop spiritual words and phrases can be, because a lot of people talk of oneness, and yet they don't even have a oneness within themselves. They haven't even connected all the dots in their own psyche. They don't understand what motivates and drives them. They're not fully alive. They are hiding either in an emotional pain or emotional a very limited program of emotional responses, or they're hiding in their mind in some kind of study from life itself. And the living of life and the congruence, there's a great word, congruent, which means everything comes together as one thing. And now a congruent person is someone whose spirituality, his emotions or her emotions, have come together so that they are relatively one within. That doesn't mean they don't have different types of personality shade or even different types of personality within. You can think of having your divine child, you can think of having uh, parts of you which are emotionally still damaged, but you can feel them. But now that you have awareness, they're not controlling you. And you can think basically that when you become aware of the oneness within, then you can begin to approach, in all reality, the oneness outside or the interconnectedness of things. But it is a very cheap shot to talk about oneness all the time if you have no oneness within you. And again, it is the human mind playing monkey. You have to have an understanding that is more than words. And this applies to all so-called spiritual learning and all of life learning. The oneness or the congruence, where one's emotions and one's unconscious material and one's conscious mind and spirit are most of the time working in a direction, going in the same direction, and there's no diversity of aims. Often, and I know this has been within my life, I'm walking this way, and my unconscious is walking that way. So what do we have? Quite simple. I'm walking that way, unconscious this way. We have a split in my energy. We have a split in my dynamic energy. We have a split in the way I see life. This unconscious material and the work of the great psychologists to understand this material is extremely important to us. And then we have some of the great integral minds who integrated psychology and spirituality, such as Sri Aurobindo and the wonderful teacher, the Mother, who worked together as man and wife, as it were. And their teaching is very good at explaining the different levels and how to integrate those levels. So this is integral approach. It is having an integrated inner oneness, a feeling of comfortableness. As the old Zen masters used to say, if you're going to sit, sit, don't wobble. Most people wobble. This is their approach to life. Maybe I'll go this way because there I believe this. This is what I believe. And then they go, someone else says something, maybe I go this way. I believe this. This is the truth. Maybe I go this way. This is the truth. Maybe I go this way. This is the truth. That's wobbling. So the Zen masters and the Buddhist teachings and the Hindu teachings and the deep mystical Christian and Islamic teachings tell us to get a root in God. And what they mean, well, God in the Christian and Muslim, and beingness or Buddhahood in the Buddhist tradition, means that there is something, some solid, unmistakably eternal part of us. And the Buddhists don't name it God, don't even name it spirit, but they have the word beingness. And beingness is an attempt not to over-define. And this is what I love about Buddhism. They're not over-defining what this beingness is. They're not calling it God within, but they're explaining and pointing the finger towards some extremely important, valuable lesson, which is inside you is a rock-solid being. And that rock-solid being is the one that loves life. So we can simplify all of the traditions. We can simplify the Buddhist, the Tantric, the Sufi, the mystical Christian, in saying that all of these systems believe in a beingness. A recent teacher that's truly popularized this beingness is Eckhart Tolle, and it's gone out on the world stage, and it gives a tremendous teaching which is very helpful to people. And his approach is, from my point of view, is extremely Buddhist. And yet, although I love that connection to that kind of Eastern beingness concept, I think, and I will repeat this over and over again, that the Western mind, an analytical mind, is not an enemy, and we mustn't throw it away completely. So we can feel this beingness, this solidness of our inner core, but we can also use the mind. The trick is not to get ever caught up in one's thinking. Just realize it's a process, a tool. And never to get caught up in one's emotional responses, because our emotional responses are another type of mind emotion reaction. It's like a circle, and if it's a negative circle, it is a down spiral going into deeper and deeper and deeper self-pity. I would posit that we need to go this way and raise the spiral up so that we begin to transform the energy of our emotions and enjoy life more. And this is where all of the positive thinking philosophy comes in. Positive thinking works, and yet by itself it's not a total philosophy. Neither is the law of attraction a total philosophy. Yet they have tremendous powerful tools which work, and positive thinking, positive visualization, and law of attraction are useful to you. But before we can do that, we have to love life. So this is the inner work that we all do. I had a great blessing in the way that my mind or consciousness works from being a little boy, because I always saw life as very comical, even the most painful things. Now, maybe some psychologists could psychoanalyze me and say this is a withdrawal technique from life. No, I was right there in life, but I saw that most people's dramas were some kind of sick cosmic joke. Of course, it's not a sick cosmic joke. It's a sickness within the emotional patterning, and it's a sickness within the personality. But no matter how we categorize the personality difficulties and challenges, and how we categorize spiritual awakening challenges, one of the best tools you can have is this gratitude and appreciation for life. To see that everything that occurs to you has an upside. Everything that occurs to you has a learning potential. And this is even maybe more importantly, it brings out deeper and deeper and deeper commitments to life. So you become committed to solving the riddles of life. You become committed to finding the answers which bring vitality and excitement, and begin to destructure. The word destroy doesn't mean to annihilate, to take everything away. It means to destructure, to take away structure. You begin to destructure the fear in you. The fear is anti-life. Fear is against the flow of life. The only true fears that one should have are just common sense fears, like I'm not going to jump into the fire because I'll burn, and I'm not going to jump off this tall building because it will kill my body, etc. Those are natural, programmed biological fears, and they have their place, and they are important structures of knowledge. But the unnatural fears are created from an absorption of other people's mind and emotions when we are 1, 2, 3 months old, 5, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And these become a solid structure of fear in us. But one of the most powerful tools to get out of those fears is to focus on the good things in one's life, to see the sunshine out there and know its beauty, to see the fact that, yes, maybe I've got pain in the body, but I'm still walking, to see the fact that I can open my fridge and get food out of that fridge, to see the fact that I have a woman in my life that I love and loves me and can communicate with me, and she's my friend and partner, to see that I have many good friends. I have people who visit our house from other countries and bring their friendship, and it's lovely to give them the friendship back. That I have a lot of things which excite me, learning to cook new Indian food, expanding my range of Indian cooking is a great interest, music, etc., etc. And you can find these things inside you that bring you to life, that bring all of your being into a pointedness, a one-pointed oneness of human expression and creativity. So we can take all the talks we've had so far, and I've been trying to lay a good mental foundation, and especially I really feel a need, and have done for 10 or 15 years, to let people know about the history of the development of spiritual ideas. And that's the mind pathway, the pathway of using the mind to expand. It's a very valid and very important pathway. But the heart pathway is also extremely important. And the heart looks out of the window and says, my God, what a beautiful day. Listen to the birds singing. It looks at the food on your plate and thinks, wow, It looks at the positive dreams you've got and says yes. It says yes to life, and this is the life force itself. This is the inner beingness in movement. We can call it chi, we can call it prana, or we can just call it life enthusiasm. If you can get that life enthusiasm, if you can bring that into everything you do, the spiritual searching, the looking for your own life pathway, the enjoyment and fun and actually the joke of life itself, because life is a kind of game of hide and seek. We are pretending that we're not awake. We are pretending that we're stupid when often that is just our own construct. Well, it's always our own construct. And behind that is always higher levels of intelligence within each one of you. If you can strip away the blocks to your enthusiasm, you will find that on every level, mental, mind, memory, learning capacity, ability to study subjects that you didn't think you could do, will increase. On the physical level, your body gets stronger. On the emotional level, you see very quickly which patterns of emotions you want to let slip or take out the fear, so you transform them into more positive emotions, which then work with the mind to bring more positive mental phenomena. So I've come to the stage in the teaching now with these YouTube videos that I want to keep in mind all of the videos we've done before, but also use the deep philosophy in those videos and apply it in a very simple way to bring enthusiasm, a love of life, a opening of new potentials, and yes, a positive mental attitude. Because let's face it, life is beautiful. Well, yesterday, John and I were walking in beautiful hills and all of the spring flowers growing in the fields. The color, the smell, the sunshine, our little dog running around all excited with his tail up, her sitting by an old swimming pool that has goldfish, little carp swimming about. Okay, and then I get involved with working on this house, painting this room, painting all the other places, and decorating and being creative and bringing colors into life. You have talents. And I would suggest everyone watching this video has talents they haven't even found. And this is where the enthusiasm of life, the big yes to life, and the understanding that life itself is the spirituality. And this is why I say you don't need this particular thing, you don't need this, you don't need that. What you need is enthusiasm. What you need is to breathe and feel the power of the life force within. The understanding that life is beautiful. So in my next videos from now, I'm going to be taking the first 7 videos, which were very much a foundation of ideas and philosophy, and leading up to a very planned point in this video to say to yes you can, to say to you that every spiritual philosophy is there not just to play with, but it's there to apply. And when you take some of these deep and sometimes quite complex thoughts and you pull them into the body, you pull them into your life, you make them part of your unconscious mind, you begin to become the butterfly and you stop being the little caterpillar. You begin to transform, you begin to go beyond your old barriers, and you begin to feel the joy, the love, the excitement and the appreciation of life. And appreciation of life heals everything, begins to diminish what Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body and what Carl Gustav Jung called the shadow self. It begins to take away the unconscious pain out of the subconscious mind. Okay, this is just a short talk. This is talk number 8 in my YouTube channel of talks. I'll be back with some other stuff connected to the philosophy of a living, integrated spirituality. Thank you for listening and have a great day. Bye for now.